Story 2, The Robot Friend. Author Shweta Dixit. Eshel loved school, but she also hated it. Even that day, as someone yelled, "Hey!" from behind her, she thought again, "I hate this school. It will never change." Little did she know, however, that it would change. Little did she know that that very day was going to change her life forever. "Hey!" the voice from behind her called again. Eshel turned around. But even without looking, she knew who was yelling at her. The 8th graders. Once again, they came for her. And that is exactly why she hated her school. It was full of bullies. Just because they were older and didn't wear glasses like she did, they thought they could do to Eshel whatever they liked. Laugh at her, push her, take her lunch. And she wanted to fight back. But there were 4 of them and only 1 of her. She knew she would lose that fight. "Give me your lunch," a big 8th grader said. And just to be even meaner, he pushed Eshel to the ground. She staggered, lost her balance, and fell down, bruising her knees. Taking advantage of it, another one of the 4 kids grabbed her backpack. "Give it back," Eshel said, but it was useless. Not only did the thief didn't listen, but the other 2 kids also grabbed her hands and held her so she couldn't move. Like she was the criminal, and not them. "Let me go!" Eshel screamed. They ignored her. Then the biggest boy, the one who pushed her, took out her lunchbox and opened it. Inside it, there were 2 sandwiches and a little bunny-shaped cake Eshel's parents baked for her. The bully took it, looked Eshel in the eyes, and stuffed it into his mouth all in one piece. "Hey, stop it! It is mine! My mom and dad made it for me!" Eshel cried out. "My mom and dad made it for me, blah, blah, blah," the bully mocked, and the other kids laughed. Tears spilled into Eshel's cheeks. She was angry, sad, and helpless. She wished she had a friend who could protect her from the bullies, but she didn't. She was all alone. "Thanks for the lunch," the bully said. Then he threw the empty lunchbox at the floor, leaving with a smug smile on his mean face, the other 3 kids at his heels. Eshel stuck her tongue out at them as soon as they turned their backs. She then dried her tears, packed her things, and stood back up. In that moment, the school bell rang. With a sigh, Eshel turned to go to class. If she only knew what was waiting for her there, she would be skipping with excitement instead of slowly dragging herself like a slug. She stepped inside, sat on her usual place right in front of the teacher's desk, and waited for Miss Smith, their science teacher, to show up. And she did, but she was not alone. Mr. Tentacle, the famous president of the water planet, the coolest one in the neighboring galaxy, or so Eshel thought, was with her. The chatter her classmates were making froze instantly. All was quiet as their teacher and the president walked into their class. Eshel and the other kids were mesmerized, each of them wondering the same thing. What was such an important alien doing in their school? Eshel did not want to be rude, but she couldn't stop staring at him. Not only was he important, but he also did not earn his surname for nothing. Instead of his legs, he really did have 12 long tentacles. And his hands, even though they looked human, could be changed into tentacles too. Eshel knew. She saw it on TV. "What is this?" she thought. "What is Mr. Tentacle doing here?" As though reading her mind, Miss Smith spoke. "Hello, children. As you might know, our school science fair is coming up, and that is why our guest is here." She pointed at Mr. Tentacle. "He is here to tell you about an exciting prize you can win at the fair this year." She grinned and turned to the alien president. It was his turn to speak now.
"Hello, kids. Some of you may know me, some of you don't,"
he began. What is he talking about? Eshel thought, amused. Of course everybody knows him. He's the famous Mr. Tentacle, the scientist who became president.
For those of you who don't,
Mr. Tentacle continued,
I am Mr. Tentacle, the president of the water planet. You might be wondering why I came here today. Well, don't let me strain you any longer. I'm going to tell you right away. The reason I came here is—"
He paused significantly. "Come on, tell us." Eshel was impatient.
"The reason is,"
he continued,
"to tell you, as Miss Smith said, about the prize for the fair. Do you want to know what it is?"
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yes,
Please. The whole class called together.
The prize for the winner is a trip to our planet, where they will explore our nature, and where they can also come to the lab where I used to work as a scientist, and where I invented my most famous inventions. The pot that cooks for you. Only tell it which delicacy you want. And a car that can turn into a boat, a plane, a bus, or even a bicycle or a train.
As he finished, Eshel and her classmates were all staring at him in disbelief. This can't be right, they all thought. Whoever wins will really visit the water planet? Just like Miss Smith before, Mr. Tentacle now, too, seemed to be reading their minds.
Yes, dear children, it is true. Whoever wins the science fair this year will come with me to my planet.
He smiled. Eshel's heart was beating like crazy. Smiles spread on her face. I am going to win, she decided. I have to. And I already know what I am going to build. Luckily for Eshel, her dad was a science engineer, and so even though she needed many tools and materials for her science project, she didn't have to worry she wouldn't find them. She only needed to go into her dad's workshop and take what she needed. There was one tiny problem, however. She was not allowed to go in there. Eshel never broke that rule, but desperate times call for desperate actions. She will have to snuck in without her parents noticing. When she came home from school, she looked all around the house, checking if her parents were home. "Hello?" she called. "Anybody home? Mom? Dad?" No answer came. The house was quiet. It was perfect. With her parents gone, she can go in and out of her dad's workshop unnoticed. Even if she knew her parents were not at home, she still crept as silently as an ant when she went down the stairs to the basement of their house and into the workshop. She looked left and right, then stopped and listened. All quiet, all clear. I can go. Slowly, she opened the door. The workshop was huge, its walls covered from floor to ceiling in papers with graphics, numbers, and calculations. In the middle, there was a big desk and many machines, some running, making noises, others silent, sleeping. At the back of the room was a big cupboard and many shelves with boxes and boxes full of tools and materials, exactly what Eshel needed. She went there, took as many things as she could carry, brought them into her room, and quickly came back again for the rest. But in that moment, when she was taking the last supply, almost about to leave the workshop, she suddenly heard a sound of keys in the front door. Her parents were coming home. Quicker than lightning, she took the last thing, closed the workshop, sprinted into her room, hid everything underneath her bed, and ran down to greet her parents. She came downstairs just in time. "Hello, Mom." "Hi, Dad," Eshel said, a little out of breath. "Hi, Eshel. Have you been running? Your cheeks are all red," her dad asked, pinching one of Eshel's cheeks and smiling at her. "No," Eshel shook her head. "All right," he laughed. "How was school?" "Normal, just normal," Eshel said. It was, of course, not normal at all, but she couldn't say that. Then they would ask about the science fair and about her project, and they would discover she went into her dad's workshop. It would be a whole disaster. "But I have a lot of homework," she added, smiling with as much innocence as she could master. "I have to go." "All right," said her mom. "Good luck." With that, Eshel ran into her room. She couldn't wait to start, and more importantly, finish what she planned for the science fair. It was going to be amazing. Eshel got to work. It was a big project that could not be finished in one afternoon, but she still did a lot of progress. By the evening, there sat in front of her the skeleton of her future creation. A big, walking, talking robot that would do anything Eshel asked him to. She patted the construction of her future winning project and said, "You and I are going to be great friends, and we will win the prize together and go to the water planet, all right?" The robot said nothing, but Eshel felt like he was agreeing with her. She smiled, hid him under a blanket with all her tools, and lay down to sleep. And even though she thought she was too excited to fall asleep, her eyes closed and she traveled into the dream world before she knew it. In the morning when she woke up, she really didn't want to go to school, same as the day after it, and the next one. But it wasn't for the usual reason, to avoid the bullies. No, this time it was because she wanted to spend every second of every day working on her robot. And even though she could not do that, she spent every afternoon and evening working on him. So at least that was something. A week has passed. Science fair was just behind the corner. And to her great happiness, Eshel just finished Milo. Milo, that's how she decided to call the robot. "It suits you," she once said to him between attaching his arm and looking for some batteries and wires. "It means dear, and you are going to be my dear friend, aren't you?" As Milo sat there all finished and absolutely perfect, Eshel could not help but feel a little proud of herself. "All right," she said, "let's try you out." She clicked the on button, waited a second, and then it happened. Milo woke up. He opened his mechanical eyes, looked around, blinked, and stared at Eshel for a second, and then he lifted his arm and waved.
Hello,
he said.
I am Milo. Nice to meet you.
Eshel felt a broad grin spread upon her face. Tears of happiness prickled in her excited eyes. For a moment, she couldn't even speak. Well, her mouth couldn't, but her brain was screaming, "He works! He works! He works! You did it!" Eshel shook her head, smiled at her robot, and said, "Do you know who I am, Milo?" To her excitement, her robot nodded.
Yes,
he said,
"You are Eshel, my friend."
Eshel nodded and tears spilled on her cheeks. She was so happy. She jumped and hugged Milo. "Yes," she said, "I am Eshel, your friend."
Well, that makes me feel very... What is the word?
Milo thought for a moment. He exclaimed.
Happy? That makes Milo very happy,
he said, hugging Eshel too. "All right, Milo," Eshel said to him. "Let's see how clever you are and all the things that you can do. We need to test it so that we can show it tomorrow on the fair. Do you understand?"
Milo understands.
The robot nodded. "Perfect," Eshel smiled at him. "So, first thing, Milo, do you see that soda on my table? Please bring it to me." Milo looked at the bottle.
Milo will bring it,
he said, but instead of standing up to get the drink, he extended his hand like a tentacle, grabbed the bottle, and handed it to Eshel. Eshel laughed. She was very proud of this little trick she installed in him. "Thank you, Milo," she said.
You are welcome. Milo was happy to help,
Robot said, and did something almost like a smile. But you know how it can be with robots. They don't have cheeks to smile with. But it is the effort that counts. The smiling grimace was very funny. Eshel laughed, and Milo, like a true friend, joined her.
Ha 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 ha.
"Milo, can you tell me how much is 5 plus 5? Eshel asked after they stopped laughing.
10,
Milo said like a calculator. What about 1 plus 2 plus 3 minus 4?
2,
Milo answered. Perfect. So you know how to bring things without moving. You are good at math too. Let's try some other things. How about... And they did try many, many things. Milo, please bring me chocolate. Milo, dance. Milo, tell me what the capital of Italy is. Milo, how many colors are there in the rainbow? Milo, who is the president of the water planet? And on it went like this. Eshel asking, Milo answering or doing what he was told. "You are perfect," Eshel said after several hours.
Is Eshel happy?
Milo asked, tilting his robot head to the side. "Yes," Eshel nodded. I am very happy. Is Milo happy?
Milo is happy when his friend is happy,
Robot said, trying to smile again. Eshel loved him. He was the best friend she ever had. She smiled back at him and took his hand. We are going to win the science fair tomorrow, okay? She spoke.
Okay, we win.
Milo nodded, shook her hand, and they both laughed.
Ha 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 ha!
We are going to win, Eshel thought. She was sure of it. Next day at school, as Milo and Eshel walked in side by side, they earned many curious glances from everyone who saw them. Everyone was smiling at them and giving them thumbs up, until the bullies came. As they appeared at the opposite side of the corridor, all the kids began to run away. Eshel wanted to run, but she was frozen to the spot. Milo looked at her.
Is Eshel scared?
He asked. Eshel nodded.
Why is Eshel scared?
Eshel didn't know what to say, but she knew that today of all days, she wished to avoid bullies the most. She wanted to grab Milo and run as fast as she could to the classroom where the fair was happening. There, between other students and teachers, they would be safe. But before Eshel could move, the bullies came all the way to her and Milo, smug grimaces on their faces. What is this piece of garbage? One of them asked, pointing at Milo.
Hello,
Milo said.
I am not a garbage. I am a robot. My name is Milo. Nice to meet you.
The bullies all laughed. What a stupid robot you've built. He looks horrible. You are going to lose the fair for sure. Eshel wanted to say something, but her mouth wouldn't open. She was scared and angry and humiliated. Thankfully, her friend was by her side.
Don't say that to my friend,
Milo said.
Please apologize.
All the bullies laughed, even louder than before. Apologize to this little fool? The biggest bully asked, pushing Eshel to the ground. Eshel was ready to bruise her knees again, but she didn't. This time, she did not fall. Milo caught her and helped her to stand straight.
Don't push others. That is mean and dangerous,
Milo said, frowning at the bully. I am going to push everyone I want to push, and no one can stop me, the bully said. He was going to push Eshel again, but before he could do so, Milo extended his tentacle hand and put it around him like a rope, tying him up so he couldn't move.
Don't push others. It is mean and dangerous,
Milo repeated.
Apologize to my friend,
he ordered. As the bullies saw their leader tied up in Milo's tentacle, they trembled like little scared chickens. We are sorry, Eshel. We are sorry. We are sorry, they all said.
Good,
Milo nodded.
Now promise you will never hurt my friend again.
We promise, we promise, we promise, the bullies said obediently. Milo let go of their leader.
Very good,
he said.
Stop being mean. Be nice.
They all nodded. Then, as fast as they could, they sprinted away, scared for their lives. From then on, they never bothered Eshel again, for they learned being mean and cruel will never go unpunished. Thank you, Milo, Eshel said, smiling at her friend.
Milo is happy to help,
the robot said, giving her that robotic grinning grimace again. Eshel giggled. All right, let's go win the fair. As they entered the room where the fair was happening, Eshel could not help her nervousness. There were amazing projects left and right. And suddenly, she was unsure of her victory. What if we don't win? She thought. Her stomach fell. She did not like that idea. For some time, people went round and round, looking at all the projects. Some of them visitors, some of them the judges of the fair. But no one knew which the judges really were. And therefore, whoever came to Eshel and Milo, Eshel did her best to show them how amazing Milo is. But all the time she was thinking, will it be enough? Will it be enough? After all, they were against projects like a machine, which, if you put into the ocean, will clean all the plastic in it. A little headband that makes you understand animal speech. A gadget that turns from phone into tablet into laptop with one click of a button, and more. Suddenly, her project did not seem so great. Eshel sighed, her shoulders hung down. What is wrong? Why is Eshel sad? Milo asked. Eshel smiled at him, but did not have the chance to answer because in that very moment, a bell rang. The judges had made their decision. Miss Smith stepped onto the stage with Mr. Tentacle behind her. Welcome, children. Welcome, teachers. Welcome, parents, to the Science Fair 3000, she said. Everyone clapped. Then she continued. The judges have picked this year's winner. But before we say who it is, I just want to say, all your projects are amazing, and I am very proud of you all.
Well said, Miss Smith. Well said,
Mr. Tentacle agreed.
And I wanted to remind you what the prize is,
he said, pointing to a big screen behind him where pictures of his planet were shining. Indeed, Miss Smith said. Whoever wins will go with Mr. Tentacle to the water planet. Please let it be me. Please let it be me, Eshel prayed. Mr. Tentacle? Miss Smith continued from the stage. Will you please do us the honor and tell us who the winner is?
Gladly,
he smiled. Then opening a golden envelope, he said,
The winner of this year's science fair is Mira.
Everyone started clapping, and her classmate Mira, who built the machine for cleaning the oceans, stood up and smiled. Eshel's stomach fell. Mira. She heard in her mind again. Not Ethel. She lost. I don't understand. Why? Why did we not win? Eshel thought. Sad and disappointed in herself, tears filled her eyes, and she began to cry. Eshel is crying, Milo said. He seemed a little confused. Is Eshel sad we did not win? He asked. Eshel nodded. I am sorry. Milo disappointed his friend. I did not mean to do that, he said. Eshel looked at him, her heart suddenly full of very different kind of pain. All of the sudden, she did not care if she won or not. She did not care about the fair or the prize. The only thing that mattered was her friend. You didn't, she said. You did not disappoint me, Milo, she said, giving him the biggest hug. Milo hugged her back and said, Milo is happy to hear that. Milo wants to make his friend happy, not sad. I have you, so I am happy, Eshel said. And I have you, so Milo is happy too, the robot said. In that moment, two people suddenly came running to them. They were Eshel's parents. Mom? Dad? What are you doing here? Eshel asked. She did not tell them the fair was happening. She wanted to show them Milo only after she won the trophy and the prize. Then they would not be angry. She went into Dad's workshop without permission. We came to support you. Her mom smiled. I found this in the mail, her dad said, showing her the invitation to the fair. And this in your bedroom, showing her one of the tools she stole from his workshop. I am sorry, Ethel said, her face burning red with embarrassment. It is all right. You did something against the rules. That is not good. But you apologized. And on top of that, you built this amazing robot, her dad said. Eshel looked up at him. We are very proud of you, her parents said together. Really? Eshel asked. Even if I didn't win? Who cares about winning? Her dad said. It is important to try and do your best, not to win. And you tried very well. In my eyes, you were the winner. Eshel felt happiness spill in her little heart. In that moment, she really felt like a winner. She had amazing parents who loved her. She had her new friend, Milo, and she had a lot of fun getting ready for the fair. She hugged her parents, and Milo hugged them all with his tentacle hand. They laughed and giggled, and Eshel was just about to show them all the amazing things Milo can do, when suddenly, there came Mr. Tentacle.
Hello, Eshel,
he said and smiled at her. Eshel looked at him, her eyes wide. Say something smart, say something smart, her mind ordered. But her mouth did not obey. You know my name? Eshel asked, happy and astonished all at once. Mr. Tentacle laughed.
I do indeed,
he said. Wow, Eshel whispered.
I came here to congratulate you.
Mr. Tentacle continued and extended his hand. Eshel took it.
Congratulations,
he said.
I think you did an amazing job. I really like your little robot friend. And even if you did not win, I want you to know, young lady, that I was cheering for you, and that I am sure you will win and come see my planet next year. I will be looking forward to it.
He finished, grinning at Eshel. Behind them, her parents and Milo cheered. Woohoo! And Eshel could not believe her ears. Mr. Tentacle is hoping she will win next year. Wow! Eshel couldn't wait to prove him right. But even if she won't, it will be all right, because she will forever remember the lesson she learned that day. It is important to try, and not to win. And as long as she has Milo and her parents by her side, she is always going to be a winner.